Welcome, viewers. Sorry, my dogs are arguing right now. Okay, so hopefully that won't continue. We're going to start with measuring and classifying angles. We're going to start with looking at this diagram over here on the left. Okay, this diagram right here. Do you notice how we just can't call this angle angle B? Because what angle are we talking about? Are we talking about this big angle right here? Are we talking about the top angle? Are we talking about the bottom angle? What are we talking about? So we actually have to we have to get in the habit of naming triangles with 3 letters, and the vertex has to be in the middle of the name. So to name an angle, on the top here, we would name it A, B, D, or we could name it D, B, A. Same exact angle. We could name this smaller angle down here DBC, or we could name it CBD. Either one is fine. And the big angle, we could name it ABC, or we could name it angle CBA. And the way you write that is with a little angle symbol in front of it, so everyone knows you're talking about an angle, because you know that you can name planes with 3 letters as well. So in order to tell everybody, okay, we're not naming a triangle, we're not naming a plane, we're naming an angle, you got to put this angle sign in front of the 3 capital letters. Okay? So let me go back up. That's how you name an angle. So most of this vocabulary you've seen before. Angles are 2 rays with the same end point. So we've got this ray here, boom, with endpoint B. And we've got this ray here with endpoint B. And that's how they form an angle. So the sides of the angles are rays. The vertex is the ray's end point. And right now we're talking about angles with degrees from 0 to 180 degrees. Now this diagram I drew down here, if you've got an angle where I could just call that angle angle B, and everybody knows what angle I'm talking about, that would be an okay way to name that. But we want to get in the habit of naming angles. We're going to come into a lot of diagrams this year where you have to use 3 letters. So just get in the habit. All right, moving on. So an acute angle is less than 90, a right angle is 90 degrees, an obtuse angle is greater than 90, a straight angle is 180. This is all stuff you've seen before. Here's something that's new. Congruent angles. Congruent angles, Benji, no. Congruent angles are the same shape and the same size. And the way we show that in a diagram is by putting the same mark on the angles. So this mark here is the same, where there's only 1 for the angle. That means that those angles are congruent. And then the 2 up here, 1, 2, that means those 2 angles are congruent. So that's how we identify congruent angles in a diagram. An angle bisector is a ray that divides an angle into 2 congruent angles. So if you've got, do I want diagrams for that yet? Or is that coming up? I'll just go ahead and draw it. If you've got an angle right here, and I've got a ray right in the middle, okay? And I say in the diagram that angle is congruent to this angle. And we usually put those marks not right next to each other so everyone knows we're talking about, because if you put it next to each other, some people are like, well, is that all the way across? People get confused. So the way that we write those is we kind of separate them a little bit. That means that if this angle is 20 degrees, then this angle has to be 20 degrees. And just to review, these marks mean these sides are congruent, and 2 marks means these sides. And if you had a 3rd side to show that they were congruent, you just use 3 marks. All right, so now we're going to move on to the angle addition. No, I lied. We're going to practice naming angles first. All right, so let's go ahead and practice naming. All right, so we'll start with the top one. And in class, this goes really quickly. We could do ABC, so angle ABC, and then let's flip that around and also name it another way, the same angle, angle CBA. But notice the vertex B has to be in the center of the name. Bottom angle, angle CBD or you could name it angle DBC. And the big angle, angle ABD, or you could name it angle DBA. All right. Now I think we're going to the angle addition postulate. Okay, this looks confusing. It's from a textbook, which you need to get comfortable seeing. So I'm going to read it and I'm going to tell you what it says. If P is in the interior of angle RST, then the measure of angle RST is equal to the sum, which means adding, of the measures of angle RSP and PST. All that means is this angle plus this angle. Let me do that in a different color. Here, there's the second angle. When you add them together, you get the measure of the big angle, and that's it. It's the same thing as the segment addition postulate. When you add a segment plus another segment, let's say that's 5 and that's 8, you get the length for the entire segment. That's it, okay? So don't get so hung up on the letters, okay? So let's go to the example. Given that the measure of angle GFJ, now where's GFJ? GFJ is 155. All right, notice I'm looking at this diagram. 155 degrees is not on the diagram, so I'm going to go ahead and put it on there now because that is information that is not on my diagram and it's got to go on there. Get used to that. 155 degrees. Boom. Done. Okay, now find the measure of GFH and HFJ, the two smaller ones. All right, well, we know that when we add the two smaller ones, we get 155, the big one. So let's go ahead and write that out. So when we add GFH, which we are told is 4x plus 4 degrees. Now notice, some people think that's a 14. It looks like this. If I write this out larger, 4x plus 4 is in parentheses and then there's a degree sign. So this is 4x plus 4 degrees, and the other one's 4x minus 1 degrees. So now what we have is an equation, and we're just going to solve it, just like we would in Algebra 1. And this is why you have to know how to solve equations for geometry, because, I mean, I can go over it with you, but you really have to know how to do this on your own. My dogs are really fighting right now. All right, so 4x plus 4x is 8x, and 4 minus 1 is 3. Now we've got a two-step equation. So I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. So I've got 152 equals 8x. Divide both sides by 8 because I want to get the x by itself. Break out my Desmos, 152 divided by 8, and that gives me 19. X equals 19. Now, once we finish and we get our x value, you have to go back up and read the problem to make sure you've answered the question. Sometimes they ask for the value of x and you're done. But today they're not. They're asking for the measure of angle GFH, so we're not done. The measure of angle GFH, that's what that M means. The measure equals, now GFH is the 4x plus 4 one, right? Here's our new value for x, 4x plus 4, right? Okay. And then the measure for the other one is HFJ, and that is 4x minus 1. So 4x is 19, which we found, minus 1. So then you would just take out your calculator, and you would get 80 degrees, and then that's an answer. And the measure of angle HFJ. Now look at how I'm writing my work, because this is how you're going to be expected to write your work as well. Ooh, 75 degrees. So have we answered the question? We go back up. Yes, we have. We're done. So let's try the next one. Every one of these problems is different. We have to look at the diagram and determine what we're going to do. Okay, now, what does this box mean? That means 90 degrees, right? So these two angles add up to 90. In the last problem, the two angles added up to 155. So we're going to do Very, very similar concept, except for we are going to set these two angles to 90. So you have to look at the diagram and the information that you're given. So if I add 2 and divide by 4, I get x is 23. Now I didn't show you all those steps. So we gotta move on because we are not done. The value of x is not the answer. The measure of angle VRT. Now where's VRT? VRT is x minus 4. So that's x, which we just found is 23, minus 4. And the measure of angle TRS, another color, TRS, is 3x plus 2. So we just calculate that and we get 19 degrees and 71 degrees. Now, if you find the 19 degrees and you don't want to go through the next one, oh gosh, I cannot use my mouse to do that. You could just do, to get the 71, you could just do 90 minus 19 and get 71. Okay, that's fine too. But you got to make sure you are writing the answers out as they're asking for them. All right. Okay, so identify all pairs of congruent angles. Okay, well, if the measure of angle P is 120, and that's information that's not on the diagram, so we go ahead and put it on there. That means the measure of angle N is the same, right? That's what that mark means. So the measure of angle N is 120 degrees. Done. In the diagram at the right, ray WY bisects this angle XWZ. And the way we know that from the diagram is these little marks right here, see? There's one there and there's one there. They're the same, it's bisected. And they tell us that one of the angles, XWY is 29 degrees. Now, if that angle's been bisected, that means the other angle, the other small angle, is also 29 degrees. So when they're asking for the measure of the big angle, XWZ, find the measure of angle XWZ, that's just 29 times 2, or 29 plus 29, however you want to write it. 58 degrees. Gosh, there we go. That's it. And we're done. Peace.